Hello, and thank you for your time. In this presentation, we will cover the new features and functionality introduced into EPM Live as part of the Spring 2014 release. The Spring 2014 release introduced several new features and upgrades, as you can see listed here. We will cover each one of these capabilities individually during our time together. The first feature to cover are social streams, a significant upgrade over EPM Live's comment streams. The guiding principle driving our social stream functionality was to simplify access to content and collaboration. In short, by looking at the challenges here, we can see that it took more than one click to either add new work items into EPM Live or to collaborate with colleagues. The social stream solved this challenge by providing one-click access to add any new work item, whether to add a new project, a new task, or a new discussion, as well as one-click ability to comment and collaborate on any recently changed item within EPM Live through a newsfeed type interface. This provides immediate real-time collaboration. Let's have a look at social streams in action. I've logged into EPM Live, and I can see the social stream prominently featured on my home page. At the top of the social stream is all the items I can potentially add into EPM Live based upon the permissions defined for me. To see a full range of it, I can add a potential project, a to-do, time off, etc. Underneath that, I see a newsfeed interface with all the recently changed items within EPM Live, whether it be comments I'm having with other colleagues or specific changes to tasks, to discussions, and projects. To collaborate with the stakeholders for each of these changed items, I simply click within the text box underneath it and it will send a comment directly to all relevant colleagues. Regarding work planners, the most significant change was the introduction of a new work planner, the Kanban. Kanban is Japanese for billboard and provides a simple way to visualize the progression of work. Looking at the challenges here, before the Spring 2014 release, EPM Live presented work either in task lists or Gantt charts. Clearly didn't capture the workflow or stage of the item in question, and no visualization. Kanban solves this by depicting work items as cards, which are then organized into swim lanes that depict the various workflow stages. End users are able to drag and drop those cards through the swim lanes to reflect and visualize the appropriate workflow stage that the work is in. Let's have a look at this. I've logged back into EPM Live, where I see a list of projects presented to me. One of these projects I can open up and visualize the work related to the project within the Kanban planner. By simply selecting on Edit Plan, I'm presented with my list of potential planners to use for the project in question. When EPM Live refreshes with the new Kanban planner, I see my swim lanes depicted here as backlog and progress completed, and then the various work items with information on the item itself, who's working on it, and an assessment of its point value or duration. I can simply drag and drop the items based upon what's been completed, what needs to be deferred, or what's waiting on someone else. EPM Live's out-of-the-box connectors provide a straightforward process to connect an organization's business-critical systems, overcoming the challenge listed here, where typically integration connections would need the time and effort of a programmer. In this release, we focused on adding popular IT solutions to our suite of available connectors. Those IT solutions you can see listed at the bottom of this slide. Let's have a look at this. Again, we've returned to EPM Live. This time we're within the administrative area for a list. Within the admin panel, I have a link that controls the integrations that are sharing data between this list and other business-critical systems. You can see here I have an integration already configured for Jira and the option to add potential new integrations. If I open up the aspects of the Jira connection, I see the steps involved with creating a new integration. The first step is to edit the connection, where I put in the URL for the business application in question, as well as my authentication credentials to pass through to the data. Next, I add the properties of the integration. Does data come from Jira to EPM Live? Does it go from EPM Live back to Jira? How often does it do it? On a daily batch process or within a real-time methodology? Finally, once I establish those properties, I can then go to the columns where I do the field-to-field matching between data fields in Jira and fields in EPM Live. Field 1 in Jira is field A in EPM Live. Where the field names match, EPM Live will correspondingly pair those fields together. Finally, I have a log that allows me to look at the transactional values of data that have been shared back and forth over a period of time. If I want to add a new integration, I would repeat those steps and start out by selecting the desired third-party application in question to which I want to connect. Reporting is critical to providing communication and visibility to the rest of the business. While EPM Live already has a robust report offering out of the box, there were some specific items we wanted to address in this release. As you can see by the challenges listed here, There are some reports in EPM Live that still have limitations in terms of the technology and the graphical capabilities. As well, there are some reports that require the skills of a programmer or a report writer who knows SQL to pull the data. Within our new solution, EPM Live utilizes Upland Analytics, the business intelligence tool that allows for precise charting, graphical, and animation capabilities. And users can create reports. They don't need to have SQL knowledge. As part of this release, we've added 40 new reports that will now come standard out of the box for future EPM Live deployments. Let's have a look at a couple of them. I've returned to EPM Live now within the reporting area. You can see over here the various categories of reports available through Upland Analytics if I want to focus on data related to portfolio or project changes or resources. If I click upon one of the reports, it'll run for me in real time. So here I'm going to run a report for portfolio project status. And I can see the number of projects by portfolio. And if I mouse over the pie chart, the wedges jump out for me. I can scroll further down and see the portfolios with the projects involved. And I can expand or collapse the information depending upon the amount of data to which I want to view. If I want to look in the timesheets reports, I can see some further graphical capabilities. This time let's look at a timesheet report of hours by project. I can see the filters up here to filter for a specific project or date range. And then I can see a graphical representation of those hours by a line chart here, as well as hours by project drill down. And again, the granular, row by row level of the data appears at the very bottom. I'm able to alter these reports by going to Designer, provided I have permissions to write and edit the reports. I'm also able to share these either as a PDF or as Excel. And then finally, these reports can be configured to support a review cycle, meaning that they can be sent out on a routine basis to various stakeholders. Those stakeholders don't need to be EPM license holders to receive these reports and view them. EPM Live already has a powerful and robust resource management functionality. Feedback, both from internal EPM Live as well as from our clients, led us to address two minor issues within this release. Specifically, there were certain resource analysis functions that were hidden within the ribbon and not as accessible as desired. As well, we thought there was some limited functionality in terms of the display and look and feel of the new item and edit item forms where an administrator would add a new user or edit an existing user. Within the spring release, we've provided contextual menus to put those analysis capabilities directly within the main content area on the page, as well as we revamped the forms to input and edit users to have a cleaner look and feel, and included expandable and collapsible field sets to streamline the desired information to present. Let's take a look at this. I've returned again to EPM Live, this specifically now to the resource pool. I can see up at the top here within the main content area there are tools and reporting capabilities that used to be within the ribbon are now available directly within the main page. If I expand out on the tools, I can see the ability to plan my resources based upon scoping for their availability for projects as well as specific assignments that they're currently working. And then I can analyze them in terms of those future work projects and currently what they're working on versus what their overall capacity is. I have additional reporting capabilities here in terms of work versus capacity, what their requirements and commitments are, etc. If I want to look at specific data for an end user, I'm able to sort of click on the elliptical menu and either view or edit their information. If we take a look at the view item form, you'll see the expandable and collapsible menus and the reorganization of the data here. So I can expand and move things up to streamline the information as and when appropriate for me to look at. Related to the improvements to the forms within the resources area, the spring release also provided an opportunity to incorporate improvements into the forms within other areas of EPM Live. This led to the development of fancy forms. As you can see by the challenges here, they relate well to some of the challenges we saw within the resources, specifically the inability to restrain presented fields within the view item form, as well as having critical functionality, in this case associate items, accessible only through the ribbon. Fancy forms address this by limiting the fields at first glance when I first open the view item form. And it also groups similar items together. So if I want to look for an individual, there's an area where just the individuals or colleagues are represented. Associated items have also been moved to the main content area, and we've actually included also a hovering capability where I can hover over an associated item and see further information regarding it. Let's take a look at this. I've logged back into EPM Live again, where I'm now looking at a charter form for a project. This is utilizing a fancy form. You can see here summary information that's been collapsed so we can streamline what we're looking at. If I want to look at more additional granular levels of detail, I can open up and expand the hide area. I also have focusing here on specific people, dates, and associated items, so again, grouping like fields together. and if I mouse over the associated items, you'll see the tasks in this instance that are related to this specific project. EPM Live already offers the ability to define, save, and reuse end-to-end project templates to propagate best practice throughout an organization. With fragments, the same ability now exists within a project, analogous to defining and propagating sub-projects. Looking at the challenges here, previous to the spring release through EPM Live's online planner, project managers could only add tasks into the plan one task at a time. For instances where project managers would typically do the same types of tasks across numerous projects, they'd have to basically spend time recreating the same tasks in multiple instances. Fragments addresses this by allowing the project manager to define a set of tasks and then save them as a fragment. They can then insert those fragments into any project at any time. Let's take a look. I've again returned to EPM Live, where I'm now looking at the project plan for a project that's in execution. If I want to add a fragment to this project, I simply go to the Project tab view and go to the Fragments area. I select Insert Fragment, where I see my predefined fragments that are there. Fragments can either be publicly available for all project managers to use, or you can define specific fragments for a project manager's individual private use. By simply selecting the fragment desired, I click on Insert, and it will insert the fragment directly into the project plan. Fragments can include things such as duration, dependencies, and also defined resources to assign to and work hours. As part of the spring release, there were two items within timesheets covered, specifically the submission process for timesheets, which before the spring release ran in the foreground, which had affected performance and also prevent the user from going elsewhere within EPM Live. As well, the date ranges for which dates you want to enter in and report time against were hidden in the ribbon. The improvements we included in this release redesigned the architecture for better performance. The submission occurs in the background, so the user is able to go elsewhere within EPM Live and do more work. As well, we brought the date ranges into the main content area for easier use and accessibility. Let's take a look at this. I've returned to EPM Live, this time to the timesheet area, where you can see here within the main content area is the date ranges for timesheets in question. If I select a specific date range, it'll update the information and bring me to the task to report time against there. As before, I just simply enter in tasks and time against as appropriate, and then once I'm happy, I can then save this. The saving will go quite quickly in terms of saving this, and then once it's saved, I'll then be able to submit this for approval, depending upon if I've activated the approval mechanism for this feature. As you can see here, it's showing it's submitted, but it's actually running in the background, so I'm able to go elsewhere within EPM Live. As for the main content area within EPM Live's other lists, the release again oriented on improving the look and feel, as well as moving functionality out of the ribbon and into the main content area to facilitate faster accessibility. Regarding the grid functionality, we now support on-the-fly grouping, sorting, filtering, and field manipulation, as well as new and improved graphics and toolbars to streamline displayed functionality and reduce clutter within the list views. Let's take a look at this. I've returned to EPM Live to the Project Center, and I have a view up here called the Project Assessment, where I can assess strategic imports of projects. Here I can utilize these search and filtering functionalities to refine my view. As an example, if I want to search for a specific portfolio of projects, I would just simply select portfolio and type in the portfolio name. As well, if I want to do a filter to say I want to look for specific cost reduction or specific employee satisfaction, I can incorporate those. And I can even do column selecting of different fields to bring in, and also group this data if I want to say group it by, as an example, group it by the state of the project in question. EPM Live's SharePoint Ancestry provides it with innate collaborative features, specifically when it comes to creating workspaces for colleagues to collaborate. The spring release focused on this feature, incorporating best practice learned from working with organizations of all shapes and sizes in every industry for the past 15 years. This is an ongoing challenge in terms of different business groups within companies having different skill sets and challenges and collaborative needs. So what we did within this release was to provide focused workspaces based upon those best practice with defined solutions for colleagues in various different business areas. Within this release, we have templates around PMO, IT management, marketing, professional services, and agile management. Let's have a look at this new feature in action. I've returned to EPM Live, where I'm at the home of my social work portal. This is an overarching workspace And you can see here within the workspace menu a hierarchy of workspaces based upon a structure of an organization. Each one of these workspaces has unique solutions, capabilities, and looks and feels based upon the area of the organization and the operational responsibility. At the top is the social work portal, where if I look at the menu options, it focuses mainly on collaboration, engaging with the organization in a non-siloed way. If I want to go into the PMO workspace and have a look at the navigation there, it will now change. My look and feel changes in the main content area. I still have a social stream, but my data here has altered in terms of more focusing on tasks and work within the site. If I look at the navigation, I now have a different set of navigational options, again, based upon this new workspace that I'm in. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for your time and interest. If you would like to learn more about EPM Live, please visit our website or contact us via the phone number and email listed here.